Well, hello. This is your host Eric, and you're watching Gmodism channel. Well, if you are new here, we are upgrading the Yamato, which is the largest battleship ever built, I believe, built during the World War II by the Japanese. And this is a replica build that the very popular YouTuber martincitopants built on for his playthrough of From the Depth, which is absolutely crazy, and you should probably watch that if you haven't seen it already, which I guess you probably have if you're here. In any case, we are trying to fix this ship because I played this game for so long, so I do know my way around the game, so to say. So, well, there is a lot of things we can improve, and that's what we have been doing in this little series. And I asked some of you what this little mast thing was likely to be, and a lot of you actually answered that this is obviously a thing that will detect incoming radar system signals and stuff. That, my ladies and gentlemen, makes it a passive radar. Passive radar listens for enemy active radar signals and can determine the direction and the range of the enemy from these. The passive radar in From the Depth is this tiny, however. We do have some passive radars, like here, but if you want to know what this big thing is IRL, well, it is a passive radar. So thanks for you who told me what it did, then I could fill in the passive radar part. In any case, we did detection last time, so we are now seeing and targeting and have battle maneuvers in a very fancy way. However, right now we get absolutely shredded by incoming enemy fire. Like when we put the Yamato against the Gimle were able to defeat the Yamato no problem at all, not even costing half the cost of the Yamato. That's bad. So one of the reasons the Gimle was so victorious is of course that the Ultra Yamato, and for you that are still asking me this in comments, this is the Ultra Yamato. It is not the replica build that's bad. This is the good stuff. We are improving on the good stuff. Anyways, the good stuff, it's much better than the just pure aesthetically pleasing replica build that martincitopants made. Obviously, he tried to make it as good as he can, and it's much better. It's so much stronger than the original. However, it still has some problems. And the reason why it lost against the Gimle, well, that's because it couldn't deal with the incoming damage from the Gimle. So the Gimle's doom crams and stuff like that got through. Now, we have lambs somewhere. Where is the darn lambs? Okay, here's the lambs. We got lambs here and there. They're connected to the main laser system. Having lambs is of course a neat little thing to have, but it's not the bulk of the CIWS cannons. No, it's not. We do have one CIWS cannon, and it happens to be this thing. This thing on each side does shoot munition defense bodies, previously known as flak. And if you don't know how to talk like From the Depth speak, simply go to my Steam workshop, From the Depth Dictionary of Useful Acronyms and Words. Ladies and gentlemen, me and a couple of nice Gmodists have put together a nice little list of each and every word you may and may not need to know in From the Depth. Some list of useful information and whatnot. So check it out. Yeah. So yeah, MDBs are munition defense bodies, previously known as flak. Much easier name, but that's a specific World War II gun made by Germany, and it's short for Flugbewehrkanone or something very complex, so it makes no sense to use nowadays. Anyways, Here you can see we got a munition, defense head, some warhead, high explosive, we got fin, timed fuse and stuff like that. We did of course already fix this turret to make it better. It's not optimal however, and it cannot deal with an incoming doom cram. It just cannot. To deal with incoming doom crams, we'll have to deal with it using some very specific systems. For example, we have a burst munition defense body, ignore the name, I use flak privately sometimes, I'm just used to it, which will deal like 100k damage in a burst like that. It's really cool, but the way to deal with incoming doom crams and stuff very efficiently in terms of materials is to use a deck gun with diff sieves. Whoops. So this is direct input fed guns. They're pretty cool because they have no magazines. They only have inputs directly into the firing piece. They basically fire telephone poles that are like 10 meters long, actually 10 meters long, which is crazy. 500 millimeters, just dealing a lot of damage. And due to their limitation with no clips and stuff, just direct input feds, they're kind of used only 5 times because you can have 1 shot in the firing piece and then 4 extra shots with each ammo. And each ammo takes like several minutes to reload, so it will not be used for the rest of the battle most likely. So they're a little bit single use. The neat thing with them, however, is that they cost like 1,000 materials, and spending 1,000 materials to not die from 1 doom cram shell is well, worth it. It's worth it. Okay, never mind. So I think we're gonna design a nice diff gun that will be used to protect the Yamato. Right, this ain't look like much, but this is my best diff sieves gun ever. It's not the one I like to think it's best, but it's really cheap. It costs like 1,000 mats. It costs under 1,000 mats. It just uses a 2-axis turret, so it's super boring, but it just manages to hit shells really reliably. I don't know why, but it's somehow a little bit more survivable even though it doesn't have armor. I think it may be a little bit quicker, or I was just lucky perhaps when I set up the darn closing weapon system rules. I try to learn from this and reuse it in other areas, but I don't know. Something about this turret just makes it possibly a little bit better than my other diff sieves guns. And that's sad because there are some pretty cool looking one. Like this I didn't make, but Setup made it for us when he built the award-winning beautiful Slabman Stridsjacht it's called. You can see this looks really cool. It just mimics, it has no armor either. And it has even more advanced rules. It's close to good as this one, but I don't think it's quite. Also, this is 500 millimeters. This is actually not 500 millimeters. It's 456, and that's because we can save a couple of materials with just having not enough gauge increasers. Yeah, because we don't get as much bang for our bucks when we have, you know, it makes sense. Anyways, the other one, this one is really good as well. I tried to make it a dual version. It turns out to be not quite as good, but this thing, the Vigoletta, it has a smaller gauge as well. I don't really know why, but it tends to have a good hit score. It's 500 for that one, of course. Oh, I don't know what ammo they are using. That's weird. What are we doing? Whatever. Anyways, we shouldn't be reusing these. I want to build a new system, and I want to build it based on this, the S-Corp Iron, it's called. That's here. This is the S-Corp Iron 456mm CIWS diff gun. You can see it's pretty nice. So what I basically done is I took this, removed all the mimics because this is all mimics, and then I rearranged some blocks a little bit, and I put this on a 1-axis turret and then on a elevation turret. So instead of having a 2-axis turret, we have 2 separate turrets like this. That's so we can make it look a little bit nicer. Very small changes, but I think this is the best system I can make for a low cost. That's gonna be a good div-civs gun. I'm gonna save it and use it for future Army of Gmodism designs as well, by the way. So I will just sit here for some hour and designing this to make it look real nice. And I'll be back because dealing with tiny details, which I am very fond of spending too much time on, takes time. So see you in a while. This video is sponsored by Gmodism. Like the video! Thank you! Just wanted to show you the innards of it. This is a previous save, by the way. This is just like the actual structure of it. This is how it looks, how it will look on the inside. The rest, the thing I add after this is only gonna be like mimicry and, you know, false stuff. But yeah, I wanted to have some armor on it to make it a little bit more survivable. I don't know, maybe it's a good idea. Also, the barrel is 4 meters instead of 3 meters, so we get a slightly better accuracy. I don't know if that matters, probably not, but yeah, we didn't save the last penny like we did on the S-Corp Iron system. We almost saved the last penny, but not quite. Yeah. Alright, so this is the reveal. Look at this little turret. I think it looks pretty darn neat. You see how it looks actually, and all the mimicry, all the decos on top of this. Looking real nice. By the way, somebody told me that the decos lag a lot. I hope they won't. I don't understand why they would lag more than regular blocks, but we're gonna do an empirical testing video about that, so keep tuned for that. In any case, it basically is the same as the S-Corp here. It does, however, I have a tutorial on how to make flak div-civs if you want to have it in more detail. But here it is, it's done. And one thing that you may want to know, even if you're a long-time player of From the Depth, there is some stuff here. If you go into the Mimics menu, you can search for gun, and you can find all sorts of barrels and stuff, which can be pretty cool. So here I use a cram, warp, barrel, whatever, as a aim. And yeah, we can do some cool stuff. So barrel is a thing. Also, this nice little covering, you may think I spent hours and hours and hours to like add this particular shape. No. You just need to find the name by searching for gun, and when you do that, it is basically from this simple weapon, it's this part, and the only thing we did is resize it and reskin it to use metal armor instead of alloy. Well, we'll have ample opportunity to use this all over the ship. As you can see, there is a lot of turrets on the like Yamato. And martincitopants already added a lot of turrets on it, but there is more to add. So we're gonna check the pattern and add some more turrets. However, I feel like we want a proper regular kinetic CIWS cannon as well. So I think I'm gonna reuse and adapt a already existing model. Oh well. So I spawned in a little turret I wanted to use. This is a Vigoletta series CIWS cannon, 100mm, basically the optimal type of CIWS. It's gonna use a ammo of a heavy head and a fin and a fin. And I'm basically removing the collar, shortening the barrel, and that will basically do it. It will double if the closing weapon system doesn't have anything to target. it will just deal damage instead using a local weapon controller set to channel 2, which is our sandblasting channel. And if we check the little images we spawned last time, it looks like we'll be able to install these types of cannons at like here and here, there and there, there and there, also back here, there and there, and we have some spaces for the diff guns on the back there. So I'm going to start finding places and installing these little cannons. So we're basically just gonna find some optimal places, like maybe here. I'm gonna check around a little bit and place them down. Alright, so I decided we can have a cannon here. We're able to place the CIWS cannons there and there. And then back here, we can have one there, and also two in the back here, because the Yamato seem to have two CIWS cannon in the back, and the current Yamato doesn't have those spaces preoccupied. Now, we already have used basically the slots to put cannons here and there, and also there in the front, so we have some limited opportunity to use those spaces. But I think that will be absolutely fantastic, so that is what we're gonna do. Well, I think then that I will just basically take them and place them down. Basically, just like that. We're gonna see later if they actually collide with the barrels. I don't know that the barrels collide with the railing. I don't remember if they do. Now I'll need to... Oh yeah. The barrels actually collide with the railings. Well, we'll have to fix that then. Welp. I'm gonna do that later. First, I'm just gonna add all the guns. One thing, however, I did put... I snuck in the ammunitions here in the AI. We can of course just design them on the structure as well. But just for simplicity, by the way, you can have like trademark symbols and whatnot in the names for the shells, so I think that's super funny. This is the kinetic CIWS. It's just like, what is it, 17 modules of gunpowder. One heavy head, 2 stabilized fins, as I said. And for the munition defense body, well, it's pretty simple. We have 2 gunpowder casing. They're very opposite in the terms of construction. They have a munition defense head and just a lot of munition defense bodies and a timed fuse. That's it. We don't have any like mags, so we don't need ejectors or EEDs for this. And there they go. They look like they were built for the Yamato. We're gonna put them in some angles later on when we fix the railing issue, but yeah, I think they melt right in here. They look reasonably blocky, but not at all out of place, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm gonna check carefully our little reference images and see where we can put, or where we can get away with putting diff guns. Diff guns is great to spam. If you don't know that, well, you have some great videos ahead of you on the channel with the Hollywood class, for example, or some other ones of Kovrax / the Secret Advisors build. They're crazy. In a fun way. Alright, I seriously spammed some diff guns here, so that's the right tactics. We have the first ones in the front here taking the first blast. That's great. Then we can probably cancel one volley of scary crams from the Turtle Lord, for example. Then we have the backup systems popping in there. We got some extras bobbing in here. I seriously considered replacing this, but I opted for not doing that. But I added one here instead. And also I added some to the smokestack tower on each side. I was a little bit tempted to steal these positions, but they're 4x4 and a 3x3, so they looked really offset when I placed them there. I tried. I snuck one inside of there because it looked like the Yamato on the reference pictures kind of had that. Other than that, oh yeah, up here I thought, why not have one of these, you know? I just realized, well, we'll have to place them where they look nice too. So here and here, we could actually sink them down one block, because these were actually places that were built for having guns. As you can see here, I think actually martincitopants replica build did have that. So you can see here and here we have some CIWS guns. Yeah, so that's what we're having here. Now, martincitopants replica build is really flat. We don't have really different elevations on the deck. I was a little bit tempted to fix that, but I felt that was too much messing with the original design, so I decided against it. Anyways, now we have some other things to do, and that is like the LAMS system. As you can see, not only decoys, but the LAMS. So these are rods we placed here where we have outputs for the laser. So each one of these red rods is an output for a laser, and we're gonna add an auxiliary LAMS system there. Yeah, so I think we need to make a little bit of support of the superstructure too. It kind of crumbled too easily. Well, anyways, I'm gonna take care with that, and we'll be back very soon. So what we're basically just doing, I'm just gonna build a little like LAMS system here using these connection points. I'm gonna keep it pretty basic and just add like LAM nodes to this. And I think for the other places, I think we're just gonna do like the regular ones that are there previously. So I ended up making a system in the front like this. Then I have a little LAMS node in the front. This will actually be able to help us target like torpedoes and stuff. It's not going to be very effective at doing that, but it's nice to have. If we have missiles coming straight forward, we can at least zap them a little bit, or if we have torpedoes near the surface, we have any type of defense. Because I think like the Yamato doesn't have CIWS in terms of anti-missile missiles like AMMs, and I feel it shouldn't have that either. martincitopants didn't add it. It's basically World War II tech plus lasers, and I think we're gonna keep it that way. So we are keeping to the laser, and we're gonna have guns for the rest of the ammunition defense. Now, I expanded this type of like regular CIWS LAMS, I mean laser anti-missile system here and there, as you can see, on different places where we could add them, except in the back. In the back, it actually lacked the LAM system completely, so we added a neat looking one so that our propulsion doesn't get completely targeted and killed like that. Well, I'll need to make this a little bit sturdy as well, and I think probably the LAMS in the tower will most likely be enough. We may need to want to add one forwards facing, however. And like if you're building a LAM system yourself, by the way, obviously you need to build a laser like batteries that's holding it together. But if you missed those episodes, we did that in one of the first episodes in this little series. And if you want to see this series, it's in the playlist, of course. Basically, here we can see the laser system is connected to the LAMS nodes. It's also connected up to like the entire system in its, like all the LAM nodes, and the damage lasers are connected up to the same system. Thing is now that if we use our lasers all over the place, like you could technically use the LAMs for really like long distance, 1000 meters, but if you're at like 1000 meters, you only deal 36% of the damage. Also, when you use the damage to shoot at incoming shells, you will not be able to deal damage with the laser system either. So what we basically want to do is that we want to set up the LAM so that it's pretty close range, especially if it's really powerful. So we will set the range to engage to just 150. This is a good way to start, not having more than that. We can have it at max angle, and we are actually going to deprioritize large shells, and we're gonna use it to target smaller shells first. Now, any shell that's less than 250 millimeters, which is absolutely insane for like IRL standards, is not gonna pose a real threat because, well, if it's a kinetic sandblaster that's less than 150, we can't do much about it anyways, and we do not need to waste our lambs at defending against it. We just have to take it and deal damage instead. It's better to deal damage with a laser in those cases. But chemical shells over 250 millimeter may deal significant damage, so we will target shells above this, which means also small and medium missiles. And then we are also going to target, of course, the larger things, but we're going to deprioritize that. We want to check fire within smoke, and we want to engage projectiles over and underwater, because we don't want to just not shoot at them just if they dipped under the water surface. Now, I don't quite remember if martincitopants chose a color for his lamps, but I feel they should be yellow like his laser. So we're gonna copy this setting to all of the lamp nodes on this entire vehicle. So there we have it. And I added these little lazy lamps in the front as well, so we have some front covering lamps. Friendly reminder to like the video if you haven't already. Do that now, yes? I'm sorry. Well, we also want to say huge thanks to all of the commissioned officers in the Army of Gmodism. Commodore Owen, Captain Shiro, Commander Ben Wilkie, Commander Delphin, Lieutenants Anto, Cravey, Flores Dagan, Josef Ishovsky, Parvagrid, Vincent Veritas, Rick Brill, Scooby Rocks. And, of course, all our cadets and those in the ecclesiarchy of Gmodism, and of course you can see this video in early access. Anyways, all of your monthly continuous support helps a lot. We have also opened another option, the Government of Gmodism, if you want to support the channel with no transfer fees or anything going to any third party. Back to the build. Now, we need to protect this thing with shields. When I did a little search here for a shield projector, we can see that the turrets are mainly are shield protected, but the ship itself is not that EMP protected. We just have some surfaces here and there. I don't know really what's that about. Now, I have this little handy prefab which measures the distance exactly between shields, so that we can make them max size and not overlap. And, well, those are in the files, of course. We're gonna place some shield units there where we can. Now, one thing I'm also a little bit curious about. I have the feeling that this thing is decently smoked. And we can see alongside the sides, we are decently smoked, but we have some severe lack of smoke in both the rear and the front of the ship. So that we'll need to add first. You know what? Smoke is an integral part of protection. I think we are gonna begin with adding that. Now, everything that's inside this little green area will of course be protected, but also everything that goes through it will be protected. We are going to place the smoke modules thus a little bit more to the center of the vehicle. We have some EMP surge protectors there in the near vicinity, which is good, because then it means we'll... oh, I'll need to update this. And I thought I wasn't. That's because I paused the game to retain the highlighting of the blocks. Well, back to business. Everything that goes through the smoke will of course also be protected. And smoke is EMP susceptible, so it can also be a good idea to place the smoke at a place where they are insulated by rubber. Now we have so many EMP surge protectors and we place it on alloy as well. I think we're gonna be pretty a-okay, but you know, better safe than sorry, as they say. This particular, I think we're gonna have this little front unit. I think we're just gonna have it like here, and we can remove this one. Yeah, that will protect the front blast pretty well if we get hit by some like charge lasers in the early battle. I'm just gonna add a bit of rudimentary smoke to the back portion of the ship as well. It is good to have smoke, but also do keep in mind that the lamps will be affected negatively by this smoke. So I'm actually going to smoke a little bit carefully here in the back. I think we're going to... Yeah, I think perhaps... No, let's see here. Alright, a few blocks there. Okay, almost. Look at that. Now we're basically protecting the mortars while leaving the field open for these lambs here in the back. We don't want to make lambs not be able to shoot at targets if we can avoid it. But back here we're definitely gonna have that, so that our most rear portion and of course engines and stuff won't get shot as much. I'm just gonna go ahead and add some basic smoke to the superstructure so that we won't be that sad about lasers that we are currently. By the way, here is a little bit of a simpler support structure. It's just rods going down to the bottom, so if, you know, the side connection points gets destroyed, it may still hold it together. Neat. Also, a very nice place to put a piece of smoke on as well. The lamps, well, we don't care about the lamps right here, but you want to protect as much as we can, but not blocking the lasers. Don't confuse smoke dispensers with smoke generators, by the way. Easier said than done. Excellent. We're gonna copy over this setting to all of the smokes, especially those we added. We just added a bit of laser warners and we just applied this setting to all of them. Let's see here, possibly, yeah, we need one here as well. And when we like have added enough of them, we can just like apply the setting from a previous one to all of them and we're good to go. It's time to add shields. Now the thing is that, well, the shields are kind of hidden unless there is an enemy spawn due to our little smart switch thing. So we're just temporarily setting up these little shields here at the right location alongside the, well, what to say, armor band of the Yamato. We'll see here if, oh, this is gonna be, that's, not sure we can place it exactly there. Well, it looks like we have to be creative with this one. I'll just sneak it in here somehow. Just like that, just moving it in a centimeter, or a meter, I mean. Perfect. So I'm just gonna fill in the band here along the side. Well, now we have added all the shields and we also copied them over to the other side. A lot of people miss that from the depth. When you have mirror mode, stuff doesn't get copied over to the other side when you do settings, unfortunately. So that has to be set up manually. Anyways, if we just do a little check, we're gonna go into the shield here. Because I want to be able to see this shield. So I'm gonna switch it. So see how it looks. Then we're gonna spawn a random enemy. Just to make the shields activate. And we can instantly see the shields are lighting up. However, now our laser is being activated and our engine power is absolutely being cut down. We can't keep up these shields here. We basically have 2 strong shields. Well, I did know this already, but there are some different ways we can solve it. Either we make the drive on the shields lower, so we can change all of them via the ACB we set up, or we can make them yeah, like that stuff. We can make them closer to the center as well. Having a closer projection will make them also require less power. Well, just kidding. I added a shit ton of engines instead, so we'll be able to cover the new cost. So I realized we had a lot of space for fuel engines, both in terms of inside of here, but we already had a lot of fuel tanks, but basically nothing using those fuel tanks. So we have added steam engines too. Right here, we've got some steam engines inside as well. And we got also some fuel engines in the superstructure if you go in here. I had some fun building my engines inside of here. And then we even have I think it's a premiere of our stackable engine prefab pattern on a functional build. So yeah, I think this is gonna be very fine. Oh, also, in this chimney portion, I felt we need something realistic. What's up with this? That's for the deco episode, but whatever. Okay, never mind. As for the chimney, I realized that we should probably have some jet engines inside of here. So we have custom jet engines generating 10,000 power each. So actually, now this chimney is being hot and it has engines. And now our engine won't be dropped to nothing when we are like aiming at an enemy. Anyhow, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna clean this thing up and look a little bit at decoys. Oh, and we also had to fix this little thing here. So here's a little tip. If you have barrels colliding with railings like this, what you basically do, select the railing piece, you select the color, and you Control-Shift-X, you place it down as a mimic. Now, this block is basically gonna be, well, it's gonna be here, or look like it, but it's not gonna be here physically, which means no collision with any barrel. Right, so now we fixed them. There is one thing to do, however, and that is to set up some powered decoys. Powered decoys can mislead enemy missiles and whatnot to target somewhere that, well, really doesn't matter. So what we're gonna do is, like I often like to do, just set up a little stick at the end of the vehicle, and this little stick will basically be our decoy. So here we have it, a little decoy that can use a maximum of 1000 per well, engine power. Now, missiles that are powered or steered with sonar will basically go to that point and thus most likely miss the Yamato. Setting up the decoys for this is an interesting setup. Anyways, in order to be able to set this thing up, we need to probably choose a place that's somewhat a-okay to be hit, which is somewhat of an impossibility itself. But what we basically can do, which we'll usually do, is at the back of the ship or at the top of the ship, we can add a little tower. In this little tower, we can put our radar decoys. So radar guided missiles can thus go towards this point instead. Well, there are basically two ways to set this up. Either we can do like we do here and have a very limited armoring of this thing, just basically make a little stick and put it in an honestly pretty weak area. If we do that, we know that it will eventually get shot off, but that doesn't really matter that much, because then it means we'll have engine power to do other things as well. So having them not be too sturdy can also be a good thing. Now we're gonna have the radar decoy here in the back, but on top of here, where we don't really have much stuff that matters, we're gonna have some heat decoys. So for the targeting types that target hot blocks, they are going to want to target the top of this tower. And that's pretty okay, because we don't have anything important there really. Well, diff guns, CIWS systems, we made them be able to target a lot of incoming shells with those and clear up the rest with its lance. Well, we have power decoys, which we're going to make it look a little bit cooler later on, of course, and we got shields and we are properly smoked. Well, I think we're not invincible, but pretty close to it. Stuff like that should never be said. That's jinxing. Well, that was indeed a little building session, and I do hope you have enjoyed it. Also, friendly reminder to like the video. Yes. Today we have added all of those defenses. I'm pretty sure that a very few amount of ships will be able to even remotely touch the Yamato now, because damn, it's pretty strong. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video, so do leave a like, check out the Gmodism channel for some extra From the Depth content, and go to gmodism.com and explore my fun little homepage project. In any case, this is your host Eric of Gmodism, and we're signing out. See you next time.